There we go. But we still don't see,
Ralph's still not in.
Ralph's still not there.
There. I knew something wasn't right.
Yeah, we're never without some kind of guest.
Turn the video on.
Yeah, I will. All right, Ralph should be able to find us now.
Yes,
All right. Want to make sure we're recording.
we are recording.
All right. I apologize, I'm gonna go back to present to speak for just a minute. All right, we, for all those online, we had some issues with that link, but, if you are present to speak, now would be the time. Anybody online?
Pete, could I say something? It's Steph.
Sure, that's why we're here.
Steph Summers, 4Y Road. I just wanted to ask if it would be possible to expedite putting up the Board of Finance meeting video from last Thursday night. It was the night we did all the appropriations and a lot of last minute cutting. So I think in preparation for the meeting night after tomorrow night, the town hall meeting or the budget hearing, that it would really help people if they could see that discussion if they choose to. And I also think it'd be good if we could somehow post what the actual figures were at the end. We were all scratching notes down. I don't think even the Board of Finance has that finalized, those finalized numbers that were arrived at sometime before midnight.
Yeah, I don't, we posted that meeting before we leave tonight. And I had Donna, work up a summary of the changes, so we're gonna be discussing that tonight, and we will post that document. I think if we can, I don't know where. Somebody will be there on that. Well, they'll be attached.
Maybe where the budget was first posted online, you know.
Sure,
Yeah, okay.
I farm out that work because you have to go with your strengths, and that ain't one of mine. So we'll figure that out. All right, thanks, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Anybody else? He went away. He was in.
He's in twice.
Okay, fine. All right. Seeing no other hands, let's move on to debt limit discussion with the town auditor. Did you have this document here that we sent to you? What we did was we came up with, we went around to different towns to look at their debt policies. And then edited them down so that they fit our town, and then mailed that to you. And you have any opening?
No, I'll just say I'm here to obviously answer any questions that you may have.
There's our question guy.
I will, before you jump to questions, so I did review the policy and then I did make some suggested revisions.
Excellent.
Via track changes, so I did send those back to Don. I don't know if you received those. Okay.
Were those substantive changes, or were they mostly?
No.
You might want to consider doing this little thing over here and that little thing over there.
Yeah.
So I had a question, I mean.
Before we start, excuse me, I want to interrupt. Can you tell me a little bit of who you are, what you do? I don't really know what the town auditor does. I didn't know we had one. I mean, I guess I knew we had one.
Yeah, I'm Mike Van Dievener. I'm a partner at Mahoney Sable.
Okay.
And our firm does the annual financial and compliance audits for the town.
And how long have you done this for?
Probably since like 2012.
Okay, so good long time, so you know everything and
Yeah.
so is it an accounting firm? Is that what that is?
Yeah. So our firm, we're a public accounting firm, so, we do, accounting services, audit services, tax services. I head up our public sector practice group. We do over, 20 municipalities throughout the state of
All
Connecticut.
right, thank you. I didn't.
Actually, I guess you're an award winning.
Mhm.
Are you? Yeah.
Are we?
Yes, you are, because on your audit, it says you submitted our audit to,
Oh, the GFOA,
Award, yes.
yes. that
You
gets
just had
submitted.
your hand raised and now you're.
Yeah, there's nothing working. That's why it just got fixed. Yeah, Ralph and I would follow like.
Yeah, no,
Nobody.
we had a bad link. We got it fixed.
Yeah.
So.
so anyway,
You just got.
yeah, so you had recommended in previous, reports that I've read over the years that, you had recommended adoption of a debt limit. And I was just curious, can you tell us a little bit about your thinking on that and why that's important?
Yeah, so the recommendation was to have kind of a debt management policy.
Right,
Now, it kind of piggybacks off the Government Finance Association that kind of issues guidance to local governments.
right,
They have a recommendation that, municipalities adopt a debt management policy.
yeah,
And that's something that would also be useful if you were, to go out for a debt issuance and you were getting rated by a rating agency. So there's a number of reasons to have a debt management policy. But at the end of the day, it's really supposed to be there to guide management in making decisions in terms of evaluating, debt issuances and the impact on the citizens.
I mean, towns are different, we're a very, very small rural community, I mean, there's about 5,500 people that live here.
Right.
So we've never had one of these in the past.
Yeah.
I guess things are changing, in our world. I think it's kind of important. The other thing I wanted to know about was I did that document there, so I looked at, Reading, East Haddam, and another town for which I lost the paperwork for. I think it was Colchester, maybe, I don't know.
Mhm.
Do towns, do all towns have debt limit policies, or am I just? Are we like the last holdout, or are there other?
No,
towns that
I
don't have
think
them?
there's a lot of, if you searched, you're probably only getting a handful of them.
Yeah,
A lot of the larger governments that do a lot of debt issuances
Yeah.
typically will have a policy. I think the benefit of having a policy is that every time you're going to do a debt issuance, right? Within your policy will be some of these benchmarks that you can evaluate the impact on the town,
yeah,
and that's gonna be in your policy. So it's not something that you need to revisit every time you're doing a debt issuance. You have that as part of your policy.
I understand. Did you have an opportunity to review you did have an opportunity to review the thing that we sent along?
I did, yeah.
Can you just give us a little idea of what some of those suggestions were that you made?
So, there are a couple, I think, additional benchmarks that you could include in that analysis.
Okay.
Again, each benchmark may be suggestive that you could borrow a different amount of money.
Right,
And so you just kind of need to consider those, in total.
right. So we included, I think, percent of the budget and percent of the grand list, and I think percent of the grand list might be
Yeah, those
a
are,
state rule.
those are two of the big ones.
So you're suggesting others as well, is that
Yeah,
right?
there's a couple of other that I think you can incorporate.
If you incorporate many of them, how do you decide which one to use?
You don't, you just evaluate each of them and the impact that they have. So, just because you may go above one benchmark doesn't mean that you're not gonna do the debt issuance.
Right.
But it's just a consideration.
Got it. And how do towns typically implement debt management policies? I mean, do they? I looked at this and I think that there's two ways that you go about this. One is a policy, which is sort of like an executive order. It can get changed by anybody.
Right.
So we can have a debt policy for 2 years and then not have one. We can have one for 2 years, one for the next 2 years, one for the next 2 years. And the other way, I guess, is by ordinance. I don't know. So how do towns do this? Does anybody do this by ordinance, or is it all?
I have
by-
not seen it done by ordinance. Again, there's federal regulations, there's state regulations that the town must comply with. I don't think from an ordinance perspective, you would want to be that restrictive. Again, the policy is really there to kind of govern a discussion regarding your debt issuing practices.
The draft that we put together, I think, was between 8 and 10% of the budget. And I think it's also 3% of the grand list. We haven't had any substantial growth in our grant list for quite some time. Actually, no, we had loves, but other than that. And we had a large project come through, which was turned down, and the town turned it down. So we're sort of stagnant right now. And we argue the debt limit policy or the debt policy is twofold. One is to establish a process that our town government can go through in doing this. Right now, we don't have any process. And we're not good at following any processes that we do have. They seem to be just, if we feel like doing it, we'll do it. If I don't feel like doing it, I won't. And I was concerned that we wouldn't, without some kind of an ordinance, they would simply be overlooked and just ignored. So I don't know. I don't know if you have any suggestions or thoughts on that, but.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I still think it would be a policy as
Yeah.
opposed to an ordinance in this case.
Yeah,
And again, you don't want to make it restrictive, you know, you may have a need or a project that you want to go above what was authorized in the ordinance,
right,
you know?
right,
Again, it's really there to
guide,
guide.
right, okay.
Yeah.
And what did you think about the two levels that I put in there, which was 8 to 10% of the budget, 3% of the grand list?
So I did look, I mean, you know, I think I mentioned before, most of the municipalities that we do are below 10%. You know, I did look at guidance online and, you know, it was kind of between 10 and 15% would be your kind of your maximum side. So certainly, you know, below 10% would be on the conservative route.
Yeah.
And then in terms of, I think it was 3 times the total assessed value, the debt relative to the total assessed
I
value.
apologize, so can you restate that? Then I had it wrong. It's 3 times the assessed value?
It's the amount of debt relative to the total assessed value.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And I think is that 3%, I think?
3, correct.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so again, I've seen it kind of between 2 and 4%. So again, it's right in that kind of that range.
Got it.
So, you know, my recommendation probably would be that you kind of put in a range, you know, type of thing and kind of see where.
They're saying below 3, you say
Between 2 and 4,
yeah.
yeah.
Got it. I wrote down a half a page full of questions and we've gone through all of them. So do you guys have any?
No, again, I think the policy was very thorough.
Yeah.
It addressed a lot of the things that debt management
Yeah, I
policy
mean-
should have.
Yeah, it says in here, here's the role of one person who works for our government. Here's another role of another board that we've appointed. Here's the role of the third board that is elected. Here's the person who's responsible for you know, talking to the debt issuancers and the bridge loan people and all that kind of thing.
Right.
You know, because we didn't have one, you know, I was kind of surprised at some of the things in there. I was like, wow, I had no idea. You know, this whole issue about arbitrage and
Right.
things like that. So I think it's something, I feel fairly strongly that it's something we should adopt. And my main concern with it would be that it would be adopted by our board. And then it would be not adhered to afterwards, but if that's all we can do, that's all we can do, so. Makes sense? Yeah. Andy, you got any,
I have some questions. There's 2 terms in here. We're talking about a debt management policy. And then a debt limit. There's only 2 different terms. Are they interchangeable? Or are there other components to a debt management policy?
The debt limit is included in the debt management policy.
Okay, so what we'd be looking at a debt management policy. Correct. Debt limits be one of are there any other components to it? Other than what's written on this?
Well, I mean, there's compliance, you know,
Right.
which you have in there.
Okay, so everything on here is
Is
I always like to
associated
get the
with debt
terms,
management,
I
yeah.
like to get the terms correct, so I
Yes.
know what we're talking about.
Yep.
So I could write on the heading, this is a debt management policy and debt limits are part of that.
Correct.
Thank you.
And the state does establish debt limits for the municipality, which is included in your financial statements each year. But again,
I tried to find that. I looked everywhere. I mean, I even read the Unified Government Audit.
yeah,
So
okay, yeah,
what is it?
it's in there. What is what?
What is that? What is that state mandated or state issued?
It gives you, it's basically an amount, a multiple of your tax revenue,
Okay,
right? And it's broken down between the amount you can borrow for general purposes, for schools, for sewers, or for pension deficits.
Can you do us a favor and forward us a link to that? It's probably in the statutes, right?
The requirements in the statutes, yeah, we do the calculation in accordance with statutes.
Yeah, if you can forward that along, that'd be great. Now,
But the debt limitation for the, based on the state is significantly in excess of what you
Higher.
want.
yeah, but we want it in there, so.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that even if they break policy, they don't break law.
That is correct.
Yes. We don't want breaking the law.
No,
And as our auditor, you feel this is a good part of what town finances should do is have a debt management policy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, the more policies you can have, the better. I mean, again, they provide governance to management who is operating the town.
Okay.
guidance, the guardrails and it establishes, well, I'm sorry, you asked him the question, not me, I apologize.
Yeah.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
Any answer is good. All answers are good. I don't have any other questions.
I'm good. Thank you very much.
So I'll follow up with Donna, but I'll just have her, provide my comments.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then.
And that law link, so we know which statute we're looking at.
Thank you very much for taking the time to do this, very
Yeah,
much
that's
appreciated.
nice to meet you.
Sure, nice meeting you too. I'm
Okay.
just up the road in Collins, so it's
Oh, okay, that's good.
right on my way home.
At least we didn't get you in Waterbury or something.
Okay, everyone say thank you to our award.
Thank you.
auditor.
All right, thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
All right. Okay, I just wanted to, let the people online know that prior to their coming online, we did shift around a couple of items on the, agenda. So that was item 10 that we shifted to after item 4. And we are now going to talk, we have a library board position opening up, Karen Ann Caldwell. I knew it was right there, has resigned from the board, so there is an opening. And we've had 2 people express interest in it, and we have them here with us today. And if I can find their letters, which I had here someplace.
I have 2 of them.
Oh, good, excellent. Thank you. We have Rebecca.
Yes.
Rebecca Hayes, and she sent us a letter. We're gonna let her speak to that, and Margaret Gankowski. So if you could let us know, let's start with you, Rebecca, and if you could tell us your interest in why you think you do well at this.
I stand up.
You can, yeah, no, you can be sit.
You don't have to stand.
A little nervous, not gonna lie. I've been looking to get more involved in the town. We moved up here right before COVID. And my kids are getting older and I have a little bit more time. And a neighbor told me that the position was open and they were looking for someone that kind of seemed like a good fit. I love our library. We have a great library, especially for the size of our town. It was a very pleasant surprise moving here. But personally, I've got background in history and I worked for almost a decade at a bank down south, so I have some background in finance and yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for sorry, I'm floundering a little.
Hey, it's fine.
You're amongst friends.
Yeah.
I
I got elected to this position and I flounder.
Every day.
I've never run for anything before, so I'm not exactly sure what you're looking for, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
You told us a little bit about yourself and the library, so help me understand about, your time down south. You worked down south, where were you down there?
I bounced around a bit. That was part of the letter of intent. That was a little hard to do the background, but I'm from Worcester originally, and then my family moved down to outside of Richmond.
Oh, Richmond.
And I went to school there for a while, and that's where I met my husband.
Oh, that's nice.
He joined the Marines. We went down to North
Yeah,
Carolina.
that'll get you to North Carolina.
Yeah.
Real
Yeah.
pleasant.
been making our way back, and then finally I wanted to be back home, all my family's from up in New England, so I wanted to come home, and we found Wellington, and it's been great. It's,
I did the same thing, so Connecticut, then Virginia, Reston, and then
Oh, yeah,
up to
okay.
then up to Maryland, and back up here, so.
yeah, we were in the Winchester area for a while.
Oh, okay, I know that.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, it works, see?
And Margaret,
Yes,
can you tell us about you in the library?
where to begin? I've lived here for 40-something years, and as I said in my letter, one of my first stops when I came to Wellington was to the Mary Edwards Library, which was over in Hall School, and I met Mary Edwards, and we kind of hit it off. In fact, I can remember, which is really funny today, what I did was bring into her a set of Encyclopedia Britannicas, which for some reason we didn't need or want. And she was delighted to get them, and I know today no one wants those things anymore, but back then, she was very pleased to receive them. And then after we moved upstairs to the library in Hall School, I was there for quite a while working with Robbie Passardi.
Wait a minute, you were there before, moved upstairs in the whole school?
Oh, yeah, baby, yeah.
I didn't even know someplace before.
Now I'm really dating myself here, you know, I'm gonna get my cane out in a minute. Yeah, I've been a long time member there in the library, up and down and into the new library, and I helped everybody move from one to the other, which was a huge undertaking to move, we packed ourselves, all those books into boxes and moved everything over to the new one. And then we had the job of unpacking everything and setting up all the shelves and doing it was a humongous job, but look at how it looks now. It's a beautiful building. And I worked there for 14 years out at the desk and in the back processing almost every book that from whatever year that was up until a few years ago. I put those books in there. I put barcode, I put them in the computer. And it was an interesting job, to say the least, because there were a lot of the books that came in there that I had to flip through them to stamp them and put the barcode into, and I found some great interests that I couldn't say much about them, but it was a great job working there. I love the library. I always have. I always will. It will be a big part of my life. I've had 2 library cards. My first one, as I told you, was number 55, which I thought that was really cool, being 55 in the town of Wellington.
You started double digits. That's great.
Yeah, but I wanted to keep it, but unfortunately, we don't use the Gaylord machine anymore, which the card had a little metal plate in it. You
Yes.
stuck it in and it punched the date on your date due card, so they got rid of that,
Oh, my.
went to plastic. So I lost my 55, I ended up with some other number, but that's okay too, but it was it's a nice souvenir for me to keep. Yeah, I don't know what else I can tell you, that's basically it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I think what we have here is 2 excellent candidates. The only question I have for you, Margaret, is that for minimum representation, are you registered with a party?
I am.
Which party are you registered
Well, you
with?
probably already know that, but it's the Democratic Party.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's okay, isn't it, John?
It's okay with me.
Okay.
How many are on the board? I don't know much about
Six.
it.
Six
Six on the library
We're
board?
missing one,
So we're
so
missing one.
one, yeah. So,
Okay, and this position is until November because
Correct.
it all starts again with the elections. So.
right. And that's a question. Maybe you did tell me that.
Yes.
Come November, yeah.
Yeah,
How many years do you have left on someone?
It's Karen Ann Caldwell's seat, which I,
Yeah,
it'll have
yeah.
either 2 or 4 left, I'm not sure.
Mhm.
Was
I
she
have
elected
it
in
upstairs.
2023?
I'm sorry,
Yeah, I don't know
I
Yeah.
either.
I didn't
meant to
look that
at
up,
20
so.
I have it
23 ballot,
upstairs,
but
I think.
Yeah,
So you don't start with 6, you start with
Well,
whatever.
whatever's left.
Yeah,
Right,
right.
Yeah,
correct.
all right. Yeah.
Depending on the election, you have to get elected to one, so there's, you're not running for that position. I don't know how that would work.
if I'm not mistaken, Karen Ann ran in 23,
All right,
and so there'd be 4 years left on her seat
all right,
Okay,
as of November.
okay.
all right. Somebody would be running for the 4-year seat.
Yeah.
All right, so. I have to choose somebody right now. Yeah, well, yeah. It is hard, that's why I'm having you go first.
I didn't say anything.
You could do that privately if you want. I mean, if that would make it
All right,
easier.
if that's okay with you guys,
Is it
we
okay? Yeah.
we will do that. We will thank you for your time and we will let you know.
That's fine. I agree.
All right,
Thank you very much.
We leave.
Pardon?
No decision tonight?
Maybe later tonight,
Okay.
but we will discuss it.
Yeah,
We have to have a public discussion, I would guess. These ladies are, we will release you if you would like to flee because.
A lot of stuff.
yes, Monday night is poker night at our house. So.
Oh. Wait a minute, I'm going to the Gankowski.
$5, whoops, anybody can come and
All right.
play, we welcome.
Texas Hold'em?
Thank you
Yes.
both for
Oh,
all.
wow.
They've been doing this for years,
I'll
just
be
a
calm.
family neighborhood event. It's fun though, it's very fun.
Thank you for volunteering.
Thank you,
Yeah, thank you very much, both of you.
you're welcome.
It's hard putting yourself out there, I know that.
Yeah, it is. Okay, it's your. Are you going
Thank you,
tomorrow
ladies.
night? To the
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
We asked John.
John,
John, I just have a question, about, you have two Democrats, but you only wrote a letter for one.
Yes, I didn't realize that there was another Democrat.
Okay, all right, see. You would have written for two if you knew.
And I don't, yeah,
Okay, all right, I just wanted to.
I didn't realize until today.
all right, thank you very, thank
I
you.
just didn't understand.
Okay. Good night.
Did you watch the game last night, John?
Did I watch the game last night? I watched it twice again today.
Did you? It's a lot easier to watch it the second time, you know, one.
Not quite as nerve wracking.
That's
It was only nerve wracking in the first quarters.
Yeah.
See ya.
My daughter was
See ya.
a wreck.
As was my cousin Steve.
Yeah, I don't know if, I don't know if it's appropriate, not speaking as for the library board, right? But as a member on it, but, we are down a vice chair, so
Mhm.
something. Maybe to consider, I mean, I'm biased because of Marine Corps, so,
Yeah.
but we are also down experience. Because we have a vice chair position we're gonna have to fill, so just something to be mindful of.
Yeah, I would hope that we take all of that into account.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not gonna be an easy decision.
Can we add?
What?
Can we add?
More people?
Yeah.
No. State law says you have to have a multiple of 3 people on the board.
Look at you quoting state law.
Hey, I only know this because they tried to add one person and the state law said no.
All right.
Nick,
And I
are
was
you in two
involved in the
places at
discussion.
once?
It should be off.
You're online.
Oh, downstairs.
Okay, you were on there twice and I was like.
Yeah.
Is he cloning himself or, okay,
Alright,
We approved the minutes, let's get that out of the way.
Yeah.
what?
We haven't approved the minutes yet.
Yeah, no,
We're bouncing around,
was-
but I
right.
don't wanna lose track.
We did that, and so let's go back to a minute. We have 2 sets of minutes. We have, special, let's start with, the meeting minutes of March 17th.
Mhm.
So. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of March 17th.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that, with just a minor correction that I noticed.
Okay,
Uh,
we will talk about that
under
during
discussion.
discussion, any discussion. That would be where you told me what you.
Yeah, just under where it talks about Nextella has some concerns, it says 51%. I think it was supposed to be either 5 or 5.1. Am I seeing that right? It says 51%. Nextella has some concerns for language and the discussion raising has been as high as we can get the 51%.
That, well, we have them in the room. Did you say 51 or did you say 50.1?
My brain is fried, so I'm pulling up the minutes as you guys are talking.
I think the minutes
Context.
currently say
I think
51.
we talked, is it 50? Yeah, the minutes say 51, but I thought it was, I think we came up with 5.1,
No, 50.1,
50.1%.
right.
What was that in regards to?
That was in regards to passing the budget. I,
I should just go back and look at the video.
all right,
It's fine, I just curious, was it really 51%?
well,
Okay.
51% passes, 50.1% that passes.
Okay.
They're both just barely passing. I think that was the
If I may,
idea.
Pete, I remember
Yes.
that conversation. It was 51%
Okay.
51, all right.
that he
Yeah.
said he was objecting to your language about just trying to get a referendum where 51% of the people passed the budget.
Thank you, James.
You're welcome.
So we're good on that.
Yeah, fine.
Any other further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor? Aye. That's unanimous. The special budget meeting minutes of March 31st, where we discussed the budget. We had the budget as it was presented to us at the time attached. And we discussed each line of the budget. Do I hear a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the Board of Selectmen, March 31st.
Special meeting.
I second that.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. That's unanimous. So. We did present to speak even after we came back here. Correspondence. We had correspondence, didn't we? Or if I already lost it. I apologize. We have a lot of paper tonight.
I have everything labeled.
Yes.
I didn't see any correspondence.
I don't think we had any correspondence.
Have anything specifically. in the
Here's the library board letters that I couldn't find a few minutes ago.
correspondence.
All right. Thank you. All right. Seeing no correspondence in the folder. State police report. State police report for March, where it was 1 accident, 6 criminal investigations, 0 burglaries, 0 larcenies, and 123 reported non-reportable matters. Total arrests of 16. They made 147 traffic stops, 0 DUIs, 1 arrest, on motor vehicle, 5 misdemeanor summons, 86 infractions, 36 written warnings, and 16 verbal warnings. I wasn't included in any of those numbers, thank God. I think, did I announce that the state gave us money for traffic enforcement? They gave Troop C money to do traffic enforcement in the town of Wellington.
I did not hear that, that's good.
So I think what I'm gonna start them off with is, tractor trailer enforcement on Polster Road. I had a resident come in and
Well, he was.
he was mad. They've run in and damaged the bridge 6 times in the last 6 months. They've run over the Jersey barriers a couple times and had to be replaced. And there's not supposed to be any tractor trailers at all on that road according to state traffic regulations. From coming either from Stafford or going to Stafford from Lowe's. And he says there's 12 to 14 tractor trailers a day on the road that's not supposed to be any tractor trailers. So I believe I'm gonna ask the state police to take a look.
Yeah, it's possible, how much? So we got, the state police got money for traffic enforcement in Wellington.
Yes,
What does that mean for hours in Wellington?
I don't know.
Is it possible we can split this a little bit? Because everybody I talk to, is very concerned about speeding on Village Hill.
We can, yeah, no, it's gonna be split up.
Oh. It's good,
I'm not gonna ask them to spend all that money on Polster Road.
okay, all right,
I'm just gonna ask them to, if that's one of their
got it. Thanks, Pete.
patrol deals that they could add to. Yeah, state police don't spend all their money in any one place ever.
Okay.
They do collect the overtime.
Yep.
Public Works report. Public Works has been busy. They've started the road sweeping and they've replaced 2 catch basins on Liska Road. They've cut brush on roadside around the bridge abutments. They're continuing to grade the gravel roads, weather permitting. They started doing some landscaping work on the town green. They've unplugged the tops of several catch basins around town. They're doing roadside trash pickup. We have a young man that needs to do some community service. So, one of the very few available ways of spending, the nickel per nip program money is for roadside pickup.
Yes,
So I've asked the DPW to order reflective vests, bags and pick sticks.
yes.
And this young man is going to be picking up trash. Also, they've just on Earth Day. DPW is sponsoring a community cleanup day. The staff is volunteering and the supplies will be provided by the nickel per nip program so that they can clean up roadsides. It's posted on Facebook on both the town Facebook page and the Parks and Rec Facebook page, and I believe it will soon be on the Human Services Facebook page. For those that would like to participate.
What date was that, Pete?
Earth Day, I don't remember the date.
Thanks, Pete.
All I remember is Earth Day. They did a good job of rewiring the town office building common room for the new computer that was installed for Zoom meetings up there. The computer on a cart with the touch screen monitor and all that got pushed around several times without it being unplugged first, tearing out all the plugs and blowing out several of the computer boards. And it's a mono unit, so it's going to, the estimate I was given was $2,000 to $3,000 to repair it. The whole new system was about $1,200. So I went with the $1,200 for a system that won't get pushed around and unplugged. But the way it was set up, it was not. It worked well, but the wires were all over the place and our DPW guys came in and strung them through the walls, etc. So it looks pretty good up there now.
Matt, April 22nd
Thanks.
is Earth Day.
Thank you for looking that up.
You were so welcome.
We need to approve a tree service contract. We had two tree services apply. One of them filled out all the paperwork along with copies of their business certificates, their liability. The other one gave us a price. The first one is the one we've had for years and years. I think that this is the program this is the service that Troy highly recommends.
Who is it? Is it
So it's Linden.
Linden?
Yeah, so. We have Linden Tree Service and New England Arborist Tree Care out of town. So. Do I have a motion to
Other prices?
they're very comparable. Based on the recommendation from Troy, do I hear a motion to accept the bid from Linden Tree?
How much, can I look at?
Yes,
And yeah, we've been living for how many years?
4 or 5. I
4 or
believe.
5, right?
Yeah. They've been very responsive.
Yeah, they are, they're locally owned and.
Yeah,
Which fiscal year will this be under?
25, 26.
25, 26.
Yes,
Okay.
starting in July. I believe that's when it starts, right?
Yes.
Their proper liability. And what,
One of you's just gonna pass out here.
Yeah, that'll be me.
so how does the contract work? It's,
So much per day, I believe.
Yeah,
the daily rate is $2,400, so if they work for 8 hours, it's $2,400.
And if they work for part of a day, it's $2,400.
Right, with the part of a day, $2,400, and what is we, it's all bucketed under public works.
Yeah,
That was, they took money out of that, I forgot.
there was a 20,000, we were asking for $20,000 more for
Right.
trees.
And
And
they
they
not,
cut the
cut it
additional,
back. Yeah,
they cut it back to the
back-
original.
Back to the original,
Yeah, and I have that number here someplace.
because I know we ran out of money for tree service
Yes.
before the end of the year, well, way before the fiscal year ended, but even before the calendar year ended. And there's a large number of trees. Now, I'm just sort of curious, how many days does that give us? For,
Yeah,
because we don't, only doesn't have a bucket truck or.
so
Climbers.
what,
I have that same. data.
yeah. What Troy does is when he has a tree that he doesn't think is gonna be a whole day, he holds it until there's another tree
Sure,
and
yeah,
then
that
they
makes
can.
sense, yeah.
It's some
Absolutely.
additional work on his part for scheduling, but it saves the town money.
I just don't remember what the total budget, it wasn't huge, it was
No,
40,000 or 50,000, I don't remember.
I can keep going, getting close. Tree removal. It's the budget request with the 20,000, it was it's $80,000.
80,000 is.
Yes.
And they did, and we wanted
We
100,
wanted 100 and they moved it back to 80, I believe.
sorry, it was 80 or 90, I can't remember. I don't know.
Yeah, I got it, it's 80 here.
80. All right, so
All right,
30 days,
yeah,
a month's worth of tree work.
yeah,
Okay.
not all at once, I got it.
No,
All right, so.
well,
Do I hear a motion?
yeah, I'll make a motion to, that we, choose Linden Tree Service as our, tree removing experts for anything that the Public Works Department can't do.
Do I hear a second?
Yeah, I'll second that motion. Can you ask, Public Works, I mean, do they reach out to different companies, in anticipation of these contracts coming up?
Yes.
Meaning, identify new ones to go visit, talk to?
it was put out to bid.
Yeah, that's not what I'm asking.
I will ask him. But I know that it was put out the bid and announced publicly by, the way that the law is as to what. I'm not sure they went above and beyond that.
Okay,
I will ask Troy when he returns, so
thanks, appreciate that.
he's having family health issues. It's dealing with. Okay, so any other discussion?
No other discussion.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
They did repairs and maintenance on vehicles and equipment. They did routine cleanup of the garage and they would like to note that the spring edition of the DPW newsletter is available on the DPW webpage and Facebook page.
Nice.
And that they are out there for information pertaining to their department and community.
Actually, I have something. So yeah, I got a call from a constituent and she sent me a picture of her mailbox that had been knocked over by the Department of Public Works. And she said, can you ask them about this? I asked and within a day, the mailbox was back up. So I'd like to thank our Public Works folks for being responsive and helpful, serving the town well, so.
They do a nice job.
Yep.
All right, tax refunds. I've got a number of them here. Um. The first one is, I move that we refund Chad Smith in the amount of $77.06 made for refund of excessive payments.
Second that motion.
Any discussion? Hearing none? All those in favor?
Aye.
I almost forgot where I was in the sentence while I was reading. I move that we refund Chad Smith in the amount of $166.06.
Separate from the first one. right?
Separate from the first one, that's why I just flipped it over.
Okay. I'll second that motion.
To be made for excessive payments. There, now you go.
I'll second that motion.
Here, any discussion? Hearing none? All those in favor?
Aye.
I move that we refund in the amount of $487.55 be made to Mark Silva of Old Farms Road for a refund of excessive payments.
I second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
I move that we refund Sam J. Rooney of Wilderness Way, $16.46 be made for a refund of excessive payments.
I second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Um. Aha, so. There's a new law that says that if somebody is charged taxes through no fault of their own, through solely the fault of the town, that we can refund those taxes if the Board of Selectmen say it's okay. If somebody is charged taxes
Yeah,
through no fault of their own,
yeah,
solely by error of the town,
yes,
they can be refunded those taxes
okay.
if the Board of Selectmen says it's okay.
Mhm.
Now, why you would not say it's okay is of complete mystery to me, but we need to vote on it. So, we have a taxpayer, Mirza Burhan, was charged taxes solely on because of us, and we need a motion to approve a
Do we
waiver.
know why it happened?
Yeah, it was tax collection software.
So they,
Yeah, there's a
software
software
said
error.
they owed
Yes.
money and they didn't.
Yes, I believe it's at the state level because it was a vehicle that was removed from our list, but not, and
Not from
it was
this.
supposed to be removed from our list and added to another town. It was added to the other town, but not removed from our list
So
because of the
they
state
paid twice.
software. Yes,
Okay,
they were charged twice.
well,
So I move that we approve the waiver.
yeah, I second that.
No discussion.
Yeah, that's what I thought. All those in favor?
Aye.
Now, why they wrote the law that people through no fault of their own have to pay taxes is just beyond me. Oh, the letter is signed by both our tax collector and our assessor. So they knew about it. So the next thing is first selectman status report. Budget season continues. I'm hoping that people come to the hearing tomorrow, Wednesday night at the Old Town Hall. To express their thoughts, feelings on it. That's as far as I'm going with that. What's that other sheet of paper I had? So. So
When you looking for,
that 3-page thing that I had, probably in this stack here. Here it is.
yeah, I put it right.
Yeah. And then it shifted to the bottom with all the. So, the last regular meeting. We had a present to speak. To which I'd like to reply. At the last Board of Selectmen meeting on 17 March. This board was subject to a dyspeptic diatribe concerning this year's budget. The transcript is available in the minutes. The former first selectman woman first accused us without cause or evidence of holding an illegal meeting. I assure you that we did not, as will my fellow selectmen. She accused us of making up figures. We did not. We received our numbers from the town's business manager and those employees that work closest to the public in each of their professional areas. She intimated that we're holding meetings at times not convenient to the public. It is my feeling that I need to balance the convenience of the town with the availability of my board members. Yes, I felt it was more important to have the board members present than to make it convenient for the town to watch live. During these meetings, we discussed every line in the budget and came to agreement. We are hamstrung only in that the CIP had not yet completed their work, and that has been completed and presented to the Board of Finance. She said that, quote, "You punted your role to the Board of Finance," and that, quote, "I know you know what needs to be done. I did it in public with my board for 6 years. Wellington deserves better than this. A 19% increase should have been where you started, then got to work to make tough choices, get to a reasonable increase, but you didn't. You failed once again. If this budget fails, the ownership is on this board, not the Board of Finance or anyone else." That statement shows a startling lack of civics education, understanding of separation of powers, and knowledge of Connecticut state law. This is particularly disturbing coming from someone who spent time not only as a first select woman, but as chair of the Board of Education. She claims that she and her boards developed the budgets during her administration. This is in direct conflict with both the spirit and letter of the Connecticut General Statute, Section 7-344. The Board of Finance was created on June 25th, 1969. In referencing the Handbook for Connecticut Boards of Finance, a guide to the general statutes and principles of financial administration, Board of Finance under Selectmen Town Meeting form of government in the towns which operate under general statutes. The Board of Finance has complete charge of the town government's financial activities, along with the budget-making power, gives the opportunity to coordinate all town government functions and to recommend and effectuate administrative changes which will facilitate budgeting. It is important in a democracy that each function of government takes ownership of its responsibility. I think we have all seen the chaos caused at the national level when we consolidate power in the executive branch. I am not and will not be a monarchical figure. This town is not an autocracy. At the time of the meeting, there was a 19% increase in the proposed budget. This is due primarily to an increase in the town reserve accounts in anticipation of large bonds to fund a new or renovated school and a needed fire station. The remainder of the increase is accounted for by a pavement program that was commissioned by the last administration that was not budgeted for, and statutory and contractual payroll changes. This is the type of programmatic decision the handbook refers to. The handbook for Connecticut Boards of Finance was written by George E. Hill, Extension Professor, Institute of Public Service at the University of Connecticut, and is available online as a PDF, should anyone care to check that. So, what am I doing? What else is going on in town? Other than budget, it's hard to think of anything right now, but we have had to complain about Polster Road. I urge the townspeople to go take a look at the original town office building on the town green. It's to the west of the old town hall. It's currently used by the Boy Scouts. We have used funding from ARPA to get that repaired. The front doors, which had rusted completely through, have been replaced. The wood has been replaced. I believe there's been window replacement.
There's somebody where it looks nice.
The Public Works Department did a phenomenal job of cutting the brush back
They
so
did.
that
It looks
the
so
building
much
won't rot.
Mhm.
And if you look at that vent at the top, which was originally what caught my eye where it was all broken out,
Mhm.
that's all been repaired. So I encourage people to go take a look at that.
I looked at it, I thought it was wonderful, I'm glad to see that we're finally doing some work on these areas. I think also, correct me if I'm wrong, that window replaced finally at the Old Town Hall?
Right now, they've pulled all the windows and frames, and there's plywood up there now. They're putting each one of them in a steam box, completely disassembling them, restoring them and replacing them. The back door that was literally falling off the hinges that's used for storage by the Historic Society
Mm,
has been replaced.
Good. I think it's important to preserve those buildings. They have a lot of memories for me.
yeah,
I spent a lot of time as a Boy Scout in the Boy Scout Hall. It was always the Boy Scout Hall to me. And, the
That's
town hall
because
was
we were
used.
around in the 1800s.
I know, that was the first
You
town
were
hall.
there right after that, though, right?
Right after that. And the town hall was used for, aerial observation for war debates during World War II. It's a good
Mhm.
story.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Oh, if you go up there,
My mother was one of those observers.
Was she really?
Yeah.
Wow, it's a great story.
the number of names engraved up there.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Usually one male and one female observing at the same time. I'm not saying nothing, I'm just,
I think it's important to preserve those.
And on a serious note, also, we've now completed this, we're in the process of completing that project, which allows us now to move forward with other.
to apply for other steep grants.
Mhm.
Oh, the other thing, employment, we have hired, two new town employees. We had an opening in the business office, and we discussed why.
Yep,
And the new employee is Sherry Nesser. I apologize to Sherry if I mispronounced her name. She'll be starting tomorrow morning,
excellent,
and she will be a direct report to Donna.
very good.
She comes to us highly qualified. She's got an MBA and is an accountant, has been an accountant for a while. From what I understand, she lives here in town and
Wonderful news.
she needed to cut back for family reasons, so she will be coming to us.
Welcome, Sherry.
Welcome, Sherry. And the second one is Cyril Biso? Basio. Cyril
Cyril will be
Cyril?
the assistant assessor.
will be coming in as the assistant assessor.
Good.
She's got an extensive career in real estate and doing some assessing in that capacity. She's been running a major real estate firm or helping to, and she is looking for a part-time job now for life balance, as both her kids are now entering grad school, from what I understand. So I think that both these new hires will be a very good addition to our town, and I hope that they come up to speed quickly.
Do they seem excited about the position?
They do,
That's good.
both of them do.
And Cyril also starts tomorrow.
Yeah, Cyril also
Good.
starts tomorrow. Gonna be a busy day tomorrow. Library.
Library. You have to
What are
make
we
a
gonna
choice.
do about the
It's kind
library?
of awkward to have two Democrats and the Democratic town chair here at the same time.
Could I speak to that?
I found that.
Go ahead, John.
Currently there are three, it's a 6-member board. And that means that as far as minority representation, you can have 4 members of any single party. Currently, there are 3 Republicans and 2 Democrats on the board, so you could get a member from either party to fill this spot right now. I, even though it wasn't done as a, political thing, I, recruited Margaret. Margaret has been on the, Friends of the Library for years and years. She knows, whereof she speaks. We're right now do not have a, vice chair to the board. And I think getting someone who's had a lot of experience and stuff like that,
Is the vice chair one of the six?
Yes,
Well, yeah, I mean, the officers are not taken out of the.
they're
It's
members
not
of,
single
they're
enough
members of-
officers.
Karen Ann, when she resigned, she was the chair.
Yep.
So then we elected Jen Tehan, who was
Yep.
the vice chair as chair, so now we need to fill that
Pete,
position.
Pete, this is Steph. I'd like to make a point of order. This seems way inappropriate to me. You made it sound like you guys wanted to talk entre nous to just make this decision. And you've got, the head of the Republican Party in town, 2 members of the board. I don't call that really an open discussion that passes muster for a decision like this. I honestly don't. I mean, I'm not saying people are not well-meaning, but I think it's
Yeah,
play.
I think we're in agreement that they're well-meaning and we will cut discussion at this point.
Thank you.
Can I just ask if there's, because it was mentioned at Friends of the Library, if there's a conflict of interest? If she's still on Friends of the Library and a library board? I don't know, I heard the Friends of the Libraries, I didn't know if there'd be a conflict of interest, that's all.
I don't think so.
There must be thousands of friends of the library.
Or like as a board member of the Friends of the Library, I don't know.
I don't know that.
All right.
You have. So the party representation is solid, so that's good, and you have 2 people that are earnest and want to be there. Certainly, Margaret's history is very compelling. But I have to say, my heart goes out to somebody who's new in town that wants to get involved, so anyone actually that wants to get involved, my heart goes out to them, but I'm always rather pleased to. Particularly pleased to see new residents get involved in the process, so. Can't go wrong with either one.
I think you're probably correct on that. That's why it's making this decision so.
It is.
Difficult.
Yeah,
So would you like to vote on one?
no, I wanna ruminate a little longer,
All right.
and I wanna use the men's room.
I second that motion.
Room in men's room?
Yes.
All right. Be my guest. We will take a brief break. After today, I'm kind of surprised I don't have to go visit it with him.
All things considered, that's a good thing to be.
I don't get paid enough for that.
Yes.
As being appointed, partisan issue.
It's not a partisan issue. It's that we need to make sure that we have representation.
No, I understand.
Representation, both parties. That's the only thing.
Some objecting to there being something.
Yeah, I don't.
It's one, I'm not speaking for the Republican Party, I'm speaking. Right. As a, we're not saying. We're not anything up. It's a foregone conclusion. I just see something there clearly.
Did you just pop?
My button. When I went,
I thought that was your back and I was like,
no.
I am
as I
so
twisted it,
jealous right now.
No,
I went to the chiropractor this afternoon and that's
okay,
the
Thanks,
sound that it
Lexi.
made and I was like.
thank you, Pete. Now, are 2 board members allowed to go to the, I'm just kidding, the core?
Is that
Joking.
considered?
No, the meeting, I'm joking, the meeting is actually in session now, so they were leaving.
All right.
Oh my God.
Right, we couldn't use them if we were not in a meeting, then we'd have to take a turn.
Yeah, you'd have to wait.
One at a time.
So.
Oh,
As
no.
you're ruminating, I will then turn to Matt.
Oh, great. Right, I'd like to ruminate as well. You know, it's very nice that we're in such a great position. We have two
I know.
wonderful candidates, who appear really qualified. That we're not gonna have a problem with the representation on the board or anything like that. I don't have an opinion one way or the other. Both of these people are highly qualified. And we want to thank both of them for, coming forward. I mean, I'll punt it back to you, Pete.
Well, yeah,
I mean, I can make a recommendation.
yeah, I think so. I'm liking Margaret's history, actually. I find that to be compelling.
I just draw a star on Margaret's page right here, and so I'd like to make a motion that we approve, in addition to the library board of directors, Margaret Gankowski, for the position vacated by
Karen Ann Caldwell.
Karen Ann Caldwell, serving out the rest of Karen Ann's term, which I believe is 2.
No, it's just till November and
Just
that's
till November. Thank you, Pete. Yep, for the help with the.
By second.
okay. All those in favor?
Can we send a nice note to,
Yes.
Both of them. Well, send an acceptance letter, send a appointment letter to Margaret and I would, what is it, Rebecca?
Rebecca Hayes,
Yeah, I would strongly recommend that Rebecca run for the board of the library board in the next election.
Yeah, and then, or another thing she's interested in,
Yeah,
see that spark of interest is very encouraging. I wouldn't wanna snuff that flame out.
this is like the first job interviews we're doing where I had 2 people, I wanted to have 2 positions but you can't hire 2 people for one
Yeah,
position,
right.
unfortunately.
You can. All right,
Guys have to vote.
Oh, we did, didn't we? All those in favor? Aye,
fine.
aye,
I think we did.
No, we didn't.
No, didn't.
Oh,
first and second.
You
my
first.
brain said we did.
Mhm.
No, I have
My
Matt
brain
moved,
is
Andy
out.
second.
Wandering on its own.
It was unanimous.
All right. Yeah. All right. So that's library board, emergency services, facilities, building committee.
We're reaching out to the consultant to see what the update is. The last time we talked, well, we emailed, he said he was still getting information, but everyone was responsive. That hasn't changed. Ralph and I are getting in touch with him to see if we can get some more hard data. We do have a meeting on Thursday to just so we can stay on top of keep the momentum going. We don't have a broad agenda, but we have one. Oh, we will have one.
You're meeting with the.
No, we're meeting,
We're getting some data from the,
we haven't got anything back from the consultant
all
yet.
right, I saw an email saying requesting it.
Yes.
That's where I am.
Yeah. And, but we will have our meeting on Thursday.
All right.
Budget changes.
Oh. We have one more point to make.
That,
As I understand it, we need an alternate for the Conservation Commission.
Hmm.
And the Conservation Commission has recommended that we nominate Heather Axton of 9 Hocklow Farms Road.
Heather's on the call today,
Heather's on the call.
bottom right hand corner.
Oh, hi Heather. I was looking at the middle where it says again.
Gadsby.
Yeah,
Yes.
I just got here because I was in class till 7:30, so.
Okay. You're interested in Conservation Commission,
Yes,
alternate?
yes.
You want to fill us in on maybe a sentence or 2 on why?
Sure. So I'm a master naturalist and I'm currently in the master wildlife program in Deep and slated to join the Master Woodland program this fall. I've been a lifelong naturalist and environmentalist and conservationist, both in habitat restoration, but also in archaeology and cultural resource management. So I have extensive experience in all of those things.
All right, I think she's way overqualified.
Yeah. Did you say did I hear woodland in there somewhere? Or not?
Yeah, Deep has a Master Woodland program that I was accepted to last year, but is on hold because I'm also in the wildlife conservation program. So I'm starting that this fall.
Well, someday I'd like to. You could tell me what a master woodland program is, but tonight's not the time.
Yeah,
I'd like
no,
to
they
hear-
I will share that with you because they offer that and to anybody that's interested in learning. So management.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. I move that we
Yeah.
appoint Heather Axton as the alternate member to the Conservation Commission. Do I hear a second?
I second that motion.
Any other discussion, other than that she's way overqualified for the position?
She's probably qualified. That's good for us, good for Wellington.
Good for Willington.
Thank you for volunteering, Heather.
Any discussion?
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent.
Thank you, Heather, for stepping up.
Heather, you're gonna have to come in and swear in at some point, so we will get in touch with you as soon as we get the paperwork completed.
No problem.
Thank you. Thank you again. That's really stepping up.
So all elected boards have to be
Sworn in, yes. We didn't used to have to do that, but then we had a rereading of the law where we think it's much safer if they do.
Yeah.
So we do that now. So. Announcement? What was that?
Or budget changes.
Oh, budget
You want
change.
that
No.
budget change?
I wanted
The
that
library announcement was
position, the board member.
no, it was the spray, it's a library week.
Oh, I forgot all about
And
that.
all of that fun stuff.
Did you guys know that it was National Library Week?
I think I saw it on my phone, actually, yes.
Steve had a like
Steve had talked
proclamation
about it.
thing that he had printed out.
Oh, I don't have it.
It's upstairs somewhere.
All right, we will try to get that,
I will post it, I'll attach it to the minutes.
okay, and we wanna get a JPEG of that, put it on my Facebook page.
Yes,
I believe is it already on the library Facebook?
I believe it is.
You could find that for me?
I will do that.
Thank you. So let's talk about budget changes. The Board of Finance met Thursday night, and unfortunately, I was not able to attend the whole thing. I thank you, Andy, for doing that.
It was interesting.
And
It
for
was a
Heather.
long meeting.
Yeah, it was. It started at 7 and ended just before midnight, from what I understand. I didn't make it that long. I passed out right around 11. But Heather did a nice job representing the public works too. So the election officials were cut by $3,000 from their requested budget. The Board of Finance cut $1,200 out of their budget. They have a small budget line so that they can move money around. It's where we should have had the teachers' retirement benefit line several years ago to protect it from the governor changing his mind when he changed his mind. And that caused a major headache. Superintendent at the time pulled us out of that. Planning and zoning was cut by $6,000. If you want to speak to any of these line items when we get to it, please let me know. Economic Development Commission was cut by 5,000.
Yeah, that's about a 20% cut of what the ask was, so And that brings us below where we were last year by a substantial amount, so we're gonna have to cut back on the resources that we use. So it's a group of volunteers trying to balance our reliance on residential and commercial taxation by luring more business into town. We're working to facilitate that. So, and also this means we won't be able to put up any more signs. So we had a couple signs that we put up in town. We had good response to that, but that's over with now.
All right. Town office operations were cut by $2,000. I think that's about 0.6% or something. I think we may be able to figure that one out. Consulting engineers, they cut $4,000 out of that. I'm not sure why, but we have an engineer that works.
That's the gentleman that work on the dams for the
Yes,
property.
the dams, he did the work on for the septic for the old town hall. He's done a number of projects for us. Carl. The emergency management director was cut $1,000. I think that only comes in as a $500 savings because if they cut him $1,000 and half of that's matched by half of his pay is matched by the state. They won't match.
Right,
his pay.
I
So
forget what
it's a 500, actual
the stipend
500.
that we
it's a
pay
stipend,
first.
yes. Yeah, that's the. What's the name of that grant? I just sent you an email on it today.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Guys, no, I sent it to Shannon.
The one that EMPG,
EMPG, yes,
the one I've been working on.
yes, that one, that, what pays that? Public Works was cut $46,000, $46,500.
The position they didn't want to fund.
Right. So we will still be paying the $40,000 a year for plows. It was higher to 0.6, it would have been a $19,000 a year cost. But we would have gotten that, whatever it is, 40-hour employee year round instead of a.
Yeah, because the conversation was that it's the,
Yeah.
that once you put that money in there now, you're gonna be paying that employee that much forever, so.
Yeah.
It's an increase forever, it's not just a line item increase for this year.
Right. But
And there was
we-
concerns, the expression
Right.
was that we can't really be adding staff right now in this.
The problem is that we may be losing a 0.4 position, and so it's gonna be really hard to hire a 0.4 position instead of a full-time. position.
Yes, no, I understand.
So we're gonna be.
That was our reasoning, and then I understood.
Treading water there,
And
so.
they,
There's more to Public Works than just that position, so we wanted to increase funding for one position from a part-time basis, a few hours, right?
Right,
To what would bring them not to full-time, but
Well, also-
almost full-time.
putting them into the driver's slot, so they can do more. They could have different duties.
Right, so that got, the Board of Finance deleted that, and then they also, they did something with the tree budget as well.
They took a little bit off the tree budget.
The tree budget is down, I think that's $20,000, and then they also cut down on the asphalt as well, is that true?
I believe they took our, I don't know, it's all in one line here, so.
So I'm looking at this thing, so we've essentially cut, almost every single area here, so.
Right. So security, they cut $2,600. I'm not sure, that may be a bookkeeping.
Well, it's because if they don't fill the positions, then you can reduce the amount of social security.
Got it.
Donna, I guess, done that work, that by adding to the positions, the SSA numbers went up, so.
Employee insurances,
Same thing, that
Same thing.
fewer employees, you pay less for insurance.
I'm guessing that's what the next line oh, no, that's town insurance.
Right.
I think we had a savings there because we've been working closely with all our insurance companies, cybersecurity, liability insurance, et cetera, through Kerma, and they've been very diligent about helping us out. The Board of Finance contingency fund went from 15,000 to 0. That's they don't want a contingency fund. For years, we had zero. And we haven't been spending the contingency fund, so I've got no
No,
breaks there. Miscellaneous. They cut it by 25%.
25%?
Yeah, it was 2,000, they cut it by 500. Oh, no, they cut it by 70.
Yeah, because I
75%.
75%.
Yeah, they-
So if
Yeah.
something comes up that's unplanned for, our contingency is $500.
Yeah. Uh,
Transfer out.
the ambulance, they cut by $36,000. I don't know how they're gonna be paying our EMTs. We pay on average $11 an hour less for our EMTs than any of our surrounding towns.
Pete, I think I gotta clarify that. That was just something that they have historically done, which they apply Fund 17 to, toward their ambulance costs every year. And they did not apply it this year, and we just did what we've always done, which is take 30,000 off from Fund 17 for that. Or not Fund 17, it was another, they agreed to that, they were in the room, and that is
Okay.
something that historically has happened to
Thank
deal with the
So
budget.
So if I understand it correctly, what we're doing is we're taking money from Fund 17, which is designed to buy equipment and assets. and
No,
we're
I'm
funding-
sorry, I misspoke. We did not do that. They have always asked us to do that to the tune of 10 or 20,000 one year alone. It was 60,000. We decided not to quit hitting Fund 17 to balance the payroll budget and not apply that. So that's not what it was. It was the tower rental that they always put toward the ambulance budget, except for a reserve they keep for their own, internal programming, good and welfare kind of stuff. So, so they get something like 45,000 for the tower rental. They apply 30,000 for the ambulance service to make that budget work.
Thank you.
And the
So
other
stop.
thing is, you guys were the ones that cut the 275,000, or you recommended it anyway. We did it, but
What 275,000? Which one is
well,
that? you're
the
talking-
asphalt one in Public Works.
Yes,
You guys
Yes,
have
that-
that on your list, because I went to
that's
that meeting. There's no tape of it, but I remember it.
that's not reflected in this because that was taken out before the $46,000 on this sheet here. Because you can't subtract $245,000 plus other savings and come out to $46,000. That doesn't,
You got it.
so.
Yep.
That was taken out before this worksheet was done.
Right.
Yeah, well, I understand about the pavement.
Okay.
Um,
And the,
5,000
there was something else you brought up too, the other, another cut that you were asking about. I'm sorry, I can't remember the detail now. It went by fast. Thanks.
Transfer out the Willing Hill Fire Department, one was cut 5,000 and transfer out to Wellington, Wellington Fire Department, one was cut by 5,000. Wellington Hill Fire Department was cut by 7,500.
they agreed that they could work with that.
Okay. Transfer out to school reserve was cut by 150,000.
Was increased.
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 We wanted, we recommended 7 and they're recommending.
Oh, they had taken out the three before that.
Right.
So that's why I thought that was still working from $1 million, it's working from 700,000.
Right.
So they increased that to 100, by 150 to $850,000. Transfer out to Park and Rec. Was reduced by 3,516. And the transfer out to the library was reduced by $73,400. And I believe that had a lot to do with a bookkeeping entry error. There's like 40,000 of that was that, I don't know what.
Well, some of it was the transfer of Parks and Rec was, they didn't agree that an assistant wasn't necessary. Our argument was that if you have a brand new person who just started and you're getting your legs under you and you're learning a new position without any, there's not much of a handbook, you know. I mean, at least as I understand the position, it's
No, there's an extensive handbook that was put together by
Right.
Department of Recreation.
well, there's no, right, but there's no,
Yeah.
and handbook was the wrong term.
Yeah. All right,
Anyway, we
learning
felt,
curve is steep.
learning curve, and we felt putting an assistant so soon when you're just starting yourself isn't really helpful. And, that's what we talked about. The Board of Finance didn't see it that way. They felt that it's more important, and the folks from Parks and Rec Commission felt that the assistant position was very valuable, but the savings came from the fact that the positions had been unfulfilled.
Great, yeah,
So
all
we
right,
won't be spending as much.
Thank you.
Something like that. And the early voting, I think, if I remember right, election officials, weren't we concerned that early voting costs were probably going to increase, not decrease?
yes.
And that's why
And
we
they-
wanted to, and that was,
There's
Suzanne was
currently,
concerned about that.
yeah, there's currently legislation to reduce the amount of early voting.
Okay, so.
In fact, I think I looked at the bill list and there was like 15 bills to cut early voting, and they've already killed 14 of them and consolidated them into one bill.
Okay. I think we were concerned those costs could increase.
Yeah, oh, that's the other thing is that, we have an unfunded mandate from the state to record all early, surveillance camera of the external,
Right.
box
Right.
for 1 month prior to the election,
Mhm.
and to save that on a hard drive in a vault for a minimum 1 year,
Yep.
longer if they tell us to.
Mhm.
So our recording equipment wasn't, couldn't handle that. So we ordered new equipment. It should be installed no later than June 1st. I was hoping to have it installed prior to the last election, but
And
apparently there's been communication errors and not on our end.
so I know that was some of the reasons why we wanted to increase the funding
Yeah,
for election officials and elections in general, and with planning and zoning, there's a lot of unfunded mandates there too. All the commission members have to go through
Yeah.
training, and that's, we're not supposed to have, continuing ed training, we have to go to classes, I think every so many years, I don't remember the stats. And there's just a lot of things that are, that you have to pay for.
So this brings us to what's our,
the cut in the operating budget
I
is,
just added it up, it's $269,000.
this says 107.
But that's including the add to the school reserve. So if you take the school reserve out, they cut $269,000 from the operating budget for the town. Right?
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, I hope we can,
So we're gonna
continue our mission.
We're gonna be going to referendum with a, well, it's not ready yet, but where it stands right now, I think we're going to be going to the town, with a budget of increase of 7%, is that right?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, I don't think that that's appropriate. I don't support it.
All right.
I would like to see us move to I wanted originally, I started out here, I wanted about a 4% increase. We as a group came up with a 5% increase, here amongst the Board of Selectmen. And, we've now ended up with a 7% increase. And that's even at a 7% increase, we're gutting, we're like, I shouldn't say gutting, but we're cutting the operating budget of our town a lot. And it's all to save for future capital projects, and I'd like to talk to CIP about CIP for money.
Go ahead.
I'm unhappy with the performance of the CIP program. I think that you failed to deliver on time. We approached early about working with CIP to understand the needs. We had a good meeting. We went through the CIP budget line by line by line. And then CIP failed to deliver a budget CIP plan to the Board of Selectmen. This caused us to have a special meeting to try and come up with our budget, I think. Our budget wasn't what, our budget was not approved by the Board of Finance, unfortunately. So, we had one that I thought balanced the needs of our town for three things: operating our town, reserving for capital expenditures, and at a level that was responsible and would be approved by the people in Wellington. at a 5% level. Where we stand now, I don't think that worked out well at all. So Board of Finance rejected our request for CIP and added back. The budget as approved by CIP is about 7%. I don't support the resulting budget. Hopefully we can make adjustments from here where we are right now. To a level that's more appropriate, and they'll get passed as one of our towns nearby, Talent, our next town over, had a 2.5% budget increase. I realize and I understand that our town, we need to fund capital projects. I realize and I understand that we have needs. I want to raise taxes, just not quite at the level that's recommended by the Board of Finance at this point. So I hopefully, I would ask the Board of Finance to make adjustments after the public hearing. And lacking that, if that level goes to referendum, I'll be voting against it.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I hope everyone should come on Wednesday. That is the electorates, that is everyone's time to have the public hearing by the Board of Finance to talk about their budget recommendation to the town. And I would encourage people to ask questions. And one of the things I've been thinking a lot about is how, if we have increased costs for everything. It doesn't matter what you touch, costs are going up, and it could be going up for real goods quite dramatically. We have a reduction in revenue through taxation and other sources. So it seems to me that the only thing we can do is somehow become more efficient. If we're going to continue the level of service that we become accustomed to, then we have to do things differently somehow. So I would ask everybody who is paying attention to think about that thing. How do we do it more? How do we do it more efficiently? How do we do it differently to get the most out of continue the level of service that everyone wants with the same, with the least amount of money with the least amount of expenditure. I'm sure there's people that have great ideas. I hear them all the time from people when they chime in about different ways of doing things. So that's my ask for everyone to think about. How can we be more efficient? And what can we do to continue this level of service with diminishing funding? I'm done.
All right. So that brings us to good and welfare. Like I said, the library week is upon us. You can get more information at the library's Facebook page and website, I'm sure. I'd also like to extend the condolences of this entire board to Superintendent Stevens,
Yes.
who lost his father last Wednesday.
It's huge.
It was it was not an easy time for the superintendent, particularly when it was on during budget night itself, which is why he had his board members here, and we our thoughts and prayers go out to Superintendent Stevens in his time of loss. That brings us back to present to speak. Anybody? Nick?
Maytel Myrtle Road, Willington. So, I brought up something about maybe 2 years ago on Myrtle. When you're turning on, as a safety concern. So when you're turning off of Myrtle onto 320 there, the traffic coming off from Yukon, what is that, northbound there? If you're in a smaller car and you can't see over that wall, there's many times where people are just almost going in a double lane line because your nose has to poke out to see. And it's a pretty serious safety concern. I know that, it's between state road and a town road, but I think something should be addressed there. I don't know, maybe throw a mirror up on a pole across the road or something, because you cannot see any northbound traffic unless you put your nose out there. Which then makes them go into the double lane. So
Myrtle and what?
320, Wellington Hill. So,
Yeah, I will look into that. Anytime we're dealing with state roads, we have very little control over it. We have to go to, state traffic and, authority and, so I don't know where our ability to change things starts and ends, but I'll look into
Because
it.
I'm sure the property owner would, you know, from
Yeah.
a cost standpoint, is not gonna wanna have any cost.
Doesn't wanna move that.
Yeah,
stone
and I
wall,
understand that.
moving stone walls is extremely.
Yeah, I get that, but it's
Yeah.
definitely a safety concern. And then as far as getting into the
Wait,
actual,
before you start, does it matter which way you're turning, Nick? Is it,
no, you can see,
I mean,
southbound.
if you're going
People
northbound,
go- Yeah, if you're going northbound.
it's okay.
No,
Oh, that's-
so it's people, yeah, so I'm sorry if I said that incorrectly. If you're heading northbound, you cannot see those people traveling northbound.
Okay,
And those coming down
so
southbound.
either way, whatever, either
Southbound you
way.
can see, southbound,
Yeah,
stand
yeah,
right, yeah.
so anybody coming,
They're coming down the hill.
I
right?
wondered, okay.
And that's a road we all know, people, it's 35 people doing 50, 60.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so, and then as far as getting into the actual budget, you know, last year we had the issue where the second referendum, we didn't have a proper second referendum. There's debate I know out there, but a traditional referendum that we would have is, you know, the times, if you got it off the top of my head, is it 6 AM to 8 PM? We cut that short on the second referendum because we were short on funds and such. I think we all know this probably has a very strong possibility of having to go to second referendum if we continue down the path that we're gonna go. I was disappointed that the Board of Finance passed the Board of Education budget, that night, it seems like by 11:30. The vote that had switched from no earlier, then switched to yes, just to get it through. I wish that didn't happen. Now, as far as, let's see, so I'm not an old timer here, but from what I hear from talking to, you know, Peter and a bunch of people. Is that sometimes town meetings, you can get a public hearing, you hear what the public has to hear, town meeting, and it was never automatic, it would just go to referendum. And apparently in recent years, it's kind of been that path where it just goes to referendum. At 7%, when they did the mill rate increase, it was a 7% increase. It went from 7.14 to start the meeting that night and dropped down to 7%. I've been an advocate for 3% or lower. I know that's not gonna be realistic. I'm glad to hear Matt advocate for 4% at some point here. I hope that the Board of Finance can take what the public says during that meeting and revisit it before wasting town money and going to referendum that's gonna fail. I think it's gonna fail. And being right back at the same situation again. It's gonna save time, it's gonna save money. I hope we can get the 4%, but let the powers be. 7%, I think it's ridiculous. So, thank you.
Melissa,
Hi there, Melissa McKinnon, 63 Lucian Road. I just wanted to share some information about this year's Wellington Day. It's scheduled for Saturday, May 24th, from 11 to 3, and this year it's back at Center Elementary School on the backfield, so at 12 Old Farmers Road. The fishing derby is being held from 4 to 5:30 at Hughes Pond. We are currently seeking participants and vendors to join the celebration. If you're interested in hosting a booth or placing an advertisement, please complete the Google form, which is available on the Town of Wellington's official Facebook page, or by reaching out to me at wellingtonday@aol.com. Thank you so much.
thank you for sharing that, Melissa. I know it's a lot of work.
It's the best. Love it.
James.
Hi guys, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
All right, excellent. James Marshall, 46 Fisher Hill Road. Just want to speak briefly, as in my role as the chair of the CIP committee, in response to Matt's comments, about the budget reductions and the level of spending, that you guys had put forth, in your selectmen's approved version of the plan. As it stood, gentlemen, you increase spending and you cut savings all at a time when you're talking about a debt management policy, and trying to minimize the amount of bonded debt we take on. It is counterintuitive on its face. And the reason why there was such debate and why we've been actively working on the committee to put as efficient a plan as we can possibly do, given the increased level of spending. I'll note one of which is in a second condemned building, which is the animal control building. Because we don't adequately save for the capital needs in our town. Quite frankly, that level of spending is going to need to be quite higher. And every time we do this, every time you advocate and seek to reduce the level of capital reserve fund, you're only making it harder on everybody in town in the coming years, because those big expenses are coming. They inch closer every year. Year 2 of the plan is a big bond now. For the fire departments, that's where it's in the plan currently. That is going to be an exponential hit to the taxes of every member in town, because you haven't saved or planned for it. And quite frankly, to say that you put forth what you thought was a reasonable budget, where you reduce capital savings, at the entirety of your 5% increase was all on town spending. There was no effort made to work towards an adequate plan or to follow the recommendations of the committee. And quite frankly, your actions tonight, Matt, and I'll speak personally now because I don't want to roll in everybody on the committee.
Don't speak personally, just speak to the issue.
I am going to speak, well, I'm going to speak on my behalf. Because quite frankly, Matt, your attitude tonight, your behavior towards the CFP plan, and honestly, the action of the boards by not discussing the plan with the CIB committee prior to moving and making a drastic reduction is really disrespectful to the work of the entire committee this season. As it was last season when you chose to take the easy route and reduce capital spending again. So I'm thankful that the Board of Finance at least made some accommodation to try to correct that mistake. And I hope, honestly, we start having honest and accurate discussions about the level of need here, Matt, and all of you in the years to come. I understand it's a tough discussion. I don't want to be the one here saying that we need to increase savings, we need to increase taxes to save this, but somebody has to be the responsible adult and actually make that call. Secondarily, I just want to speak briefly about the debt management policy. The gentleman from Mahoney and Sable, I thought his comments were great. And I honestly think the recommendations about the debt management policy being recommendations, as well as creating ranges as opposed to hard targets, were excellent suggestions and recommendations. And I think they go a long way to avoiding some of the very significant problems and concerns about we may have had from a capital perspective with the debt management policy that is proposed currently. So I urge you guys to take that to heart. The last thing I'll say is that a debt management policy is a Board of Finance issue, gentlemen. You guys can make a recommendation that the Board of Finance pursue it, but the Board of Finance were elected to make the financial planning decisions, make the spending recommendations, and to approve funding, and quite frankly, to approve a level of bonding. This is not your purview. You are overstepping, and it's not a policy you will be approving. It's a policy the Board of Finance needs to take up and debate at length and make their recommendations as the financial stewards of this town. And I urge you to just make that recommendation and let them have those discussions. Because I don't believe they've been involved in the process at all here. And this is a major decision for the Board of Finance. That said, I think the due diligence is great. Send it along, let them have their say and weigh in as elected representatives responsible for that desk. I look forward to speaking to you all and advocating for the spending needs as put forth by the CIP committee at the town hearing on Wednesday. And I do hope that you guys all come prepared to support the budget that you guys put forth and that this town needs. Because quite frankly, this referendum, should this referendum fail, it's because of your messaging and the lack of clarity and discipline throughout the budget season, and the lack of transparency in a very closed process without any public input all along the way. So thank you, gentlemen.
Okay,
What, do we have somebody else? Pete?
Peter Oltitich, 97 Trask Road. I want to comment on your discussion about the debt policy tonight and applaud your decision to move forward with this. This is recommended by the state of Connecticut. It was recommended by representatives from our auditing firm. It is wholly appropriate, especially at a time when we're being presented with capital spending plans that seem to exceed the capacity of our town. I think, just listening to the gentleman tonight, saying that 8 to 10% is the range. If you look at the plans that are being presented to us by the CIP committee, they exceed those guardrails. And that's very troubling to me. Even more troubling is the fact that the Board of Selectmen didn't approve a CIP plan. It appears to be one that was discussed and then went to the Board of Finance, but was never actually acted upon by the Board of Selectmen. I think in part because you didn't receive it until very recently in a very chaotic manner. So I'm hoping that there can be some explanation of that at the public hearings. I think the entire town is confused by this. We elect people to the Board of Selectmen to manage the town's affairs. And it didn't seem like that happened with the CIP plan. The CIP committee makes recommendations, but we're looking to our Board of Selectmen to adopt a plan that they think is appropriate for our town. So I hope that's something you guys can address at the public hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pete. Yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah, so our next step, as indicated in previous meetings, is to look at the debt management policy, which is set by the Board of Selectmen, because we're the ones who set policies. And then forwarding that, once we are satisfied, to the Board of Finance for their comment and suggestions. We would work in partnership and then put something forward. And then adopt a debt management policy. And I will not be able to make our Wednesday meeting, town meeting. I work second shift, as is well known, so I won't be able to be there, unfortunately.
Yeah. We're gonna end what the president's speech. I'm tired. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? We're not gonna. Oh, Stephanie, go ahead.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say, and I know you guys probably don't have time for this, but I feel like a lot's lost in the translation here on the budget and what the Board of Finance did Thursday night. For instance, there was one of the larger cuts was 50,000 out of what off budget funds for the library in one whack. So that's a pretty serious cut. I think to understand that, you have to hear that discussion. There are other things that I think, the figure I was trying to think of before was that the benefits part that Donna costed out, on that sheet she did for us on the full value of positions, salary and benefits was 60,000 for the driver. So that's where that number came from. I just felt like I know it's a lot, and believe me, we didn't want to do it this way either. We had an illegally called meeting as the penultimate meeting. We were doing deliberations and appropriations on the same night. That's never a good scenario, as you know, Pete. So anyway, I just wanted to add that context. Thank you.
Yeah, speaking to that, I think we need to talk to our representatives about getting that Zoom link 48 hours changed to 24, because I don't know why we have two separate requirements for different parts of the agenda. That makes no sense to me, and I see that I think it's the library board Board of Ed ran into the same problem for tomorrow night, but in the 48-hour.
And there's no requirement to have a Zoom meeting at all.
Yeah.
It's not mandatory.
I think we decided to do it because it lets more people participate.
It's a good idea,
Yeah.
I'm saying it's a good idea, but since the fact that it's not required and you need more notice, that seems odd to me. I think that seems odd to everyone, actually.
I think that sometimes when they write a new law or ordinance without looking at what they already have. I know that's what they've done with the registrars, rules and laws. It-
Can I
what is
just
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Board of Finance meeting, when we went to the 4-day week, that was one of the things that was Board of Finance feedback. I know because I think I made the point, and I think you guys had found a workaround to that I think actually that Shannon offered to come in on Friday early and post it if you had to come in, or that she had a way to do it. But at any rate, that's just 4 days is such a long gap, and seeing what happens on that Thursday night meeting to put up the other meetings in context, especially at budget time.
Well-
Maybe budget time's the rough time for it, but
I believe at the time of the discussion of the 4-day week, I personally came to one of these meetings. It was prior to my time in office and suggested that there may be unforeseen problems with a 4-day week. And this, I think, might be one of them, but
well, it was
Uh,
foreseen
I,
though.
I still lean on the side of supporting it because it's very helpful for the staff. When we're paying the minimum allowable by law for several positions, that's where we stand. We need to make the work-life balance better for some of our employees. All right,
Motion to adjourn?
I second,
in favor, aye.
Aye.
right.